Welcome to Open House Thursday on Your View. I am Tokwe Mark Adige, and today I have Nima looking very, 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 very locks. Like locks.
When I'm wearing out of this,
Like,
the confidence that comes with
These women.
Mariam, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm great. I'm
What's going on? I
excited.
don't have any story for you. Know, if we don't see you for a day, we expect that when you come, you'll be like, oh, this happened yesterday, and then you have some.
Is that practical, though? Is that? Yeah.
That's not real.
It's not realistic.
Is it real?
Okay, Nima, what's going on?
Okay, myself and Miriam, I'm certain I'm going for an event after today's show. At 11, somewhere on
Odeni Jones.
Adeni Jones.
I think.
The office of the vice president is having an event. I'm trying to find the mail. I did not come.
You will see it.
So that's the event we're going after the show.
Okay.
I'm wearing out of this just to prepare them.
Oh, God. I feel so good. I feel so good when you hype me.
It's hyping you. I'm hyping my drills.
I'm the creator of the dress.
Yes,
See how you doing?
I'm doing great. I still have a cold. I've been doing my nose. I'm on medication, but I haven't really rested.
And that's essential.
Yes,
There's
you know,
no
after
recovery.
the trade fair, I resumed work. I've not really had time, so hopefully this weekend I will try to slow down a bit. Do I have a lot on my table? I'm seeing the work, but I think I need to slow down a bit and just relax at home and maybe start the grind again next week. But
It's a good time to recover.
Said maybe, definitely.
Honestly, there's a whole lot going on in the country, and many people are bottled up. There's a lot of bottling up of stress, and I saw something on someone's Instagram story yesterday. Like, the way she was replying people, I said, this is not this topic. Like, it's not this topic that is the way she was being bullish in the replies she was giving people. I knew that it's not just because why would you be so? People are so angry. As the social media space is so angry, and I cannot stand this. And I think we should just spread a bit of joy. So Open House Thursday's gist, though we have there are different segments, but today you're going to enjoy a lot of gist. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll go through the newspapers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. We're starting the newspaper review with The Nation major headline. Tinubu, I'm not seeking office on religious grounds. And in other news, Buhari approves 134.7 billion for military veterans. World Bank okays $13.5 million financial plan for Nigeria. Tribunal compels INEC to release Adeleke's certificate. UK government launches a $100 million scheme to lift women. And federal government insists on no work, no pay for ASU. Rivers won't vote for president along party lines, says Wike. G5 list equity, justice, fairness as condition for truce. And drunk driver kills general in Lagos. UK urged to intervene in Kanu's trial. Security operatives take over Ekiti Assembly. And finally, court rejects Meina's bail application. So many stories. Which are we going with? Okay.
So the federal government is still insisting on the no work, no pay salary for ASU members. This was said by the Minister of Education after the FEC meeting that was had recently. That's the Federal Executive Meeting. And he also, that's the minister, also denied the claim that the teachers were being treated as casual workers. In his words, he said, how can anybody make university lecturer as a casual worker? Do you know the meaning of casual worker? If you know the meaning of a casual worker, it is impossible to make a university lecturer a casual worker. And then he was told that the teachers are likely to go on strike. And he said he's not aware, nobody has told him about the strike. He will wait and see when they start up the strike, then they can have a conversation about that. But that they're not going back on the no work, no pay. But the Deputy National President, National Parents Teachers Association of Nigeria, NAPTAN, was appealing to ASU to, soft pedal, saying that the federal government has, answered their request a bit from 70 to 80%, and they should, just let go of the October salary that wasn't paid in full and go back to class so that the children do not suffer.
Yes, so I have the president. Our president, Buhari, was at the Emblem Appeal launch for 2023 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration at the council chambers of the presidential villa in Abuja. And during the and at the event, he announced that he had approved of 134.7 billion naira for the payment of security debarment allowances for our nation's veterans. At the event, he also reassured Nigerians that he's going to do his best to make sure by 2023 he hands over to his successor a safe country, you know, with less issues as it's concerns insecurity. He also pledged that the federal government is committed to the welfare of veterans by ensuring prompt payments of their pension and other entitlements. And also he talked about the approval of the SDA again. I remember some weeks back, or even a month ago, I had taken a story where veterans were protesting the fact that they had not been receiving the SDA, and he talked about those who have not been included in this, and that there's going to be a review of their financial, administration for the Armed Forces called MAFA 2017 to make sure that everyone that's supposed to be part of it is included. I'm happy to see something like this being done for our veterans. He also asked Nigerians, corporate bodies, we should remember the veterans, the soldiers that lay down their lives and make the ultimate sacrifice for us to live, in peace.
The peace we still have.
Yeah.
Nima, did you take the tribunal?
Yes, I took the tribunal in motion. So Governor Oyetola's team of lawyers have asked that the INEC registrar in the state present the certificate and the forms with which the governor-elect in Osun State, was campaigned and was picked for elections, asking that the nomination forms and the academic certificates of Senator Ademola Adeleke are used for the nomination. Even in that, in 2018, governorship elections should also be presented. I think, of course, the tribunal is based on whether some of the results were authentic, I think. And so the tribunal has compelled, the panel has compelled that they bring that certificate upon the next hearing and have adjourned to the 21st of November for continuation of the hearing.
So on it, Mariah has been following the G5 governor stories, and right now we had the governor of Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike, was speaking on behalf of the G5 governors. That's Samuel Ortom of Benue State, Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State, Ifeanyi Ngwanye of Enugu State. The 5 of them say that they are not going to be voting along party lines until their demand is complied with. The governor said that the G5 have listed what their conditions are. They've listed equity, justice, fairness as the condition for a truce, and on that, starting that condition is for Dr. The party chair, PDP national chairman, must step down, giving way for a southerner to take that position. He also mentioned how he regretted campaigning for. He apologized to Shemole that he campaigned against him and all of that. But while we wait for the party politics, let us fine-tune our ears to listen to the real issues and focus on issue-based election. Moving on to the Punch major headline: Muslim ticket. Friends criticizing me, lobbied for vice president slots. That's from Tinubu, the presidential candidate for APC. And you cannot miss the picture story. There was a raid. Officials of the Lagos State Task Force, during a raid on commercial motorcycles operators, Okada at Abule Egba, Lagos on Wednesday. Other news: surrender mandates if APC loses parties. If APC loses, party tells Buhari. 11 cultists nabbed for terrorizing Lagos neighborhood. APC, RU disagree over bid to win Lagos. Federal government, ASU begins fresh showdown. Minister tackles lecturers. Naira redesign, targets looted funds. That's from the EFCC chair. Government planning bank guarantees for Nigeria Ethiopia deal. How delay costly court process frustrates families' access to deceased savings. So, what story are we starting with?
EFCC chairman was granted an interview with Deutsche Welle, the Hausa service, and they were talking about the Naira redesign. And he says the crux of the matter when it comes to the Naira redesign was finding ways for the government to make sure that monies that had been stashed away by people, unscrupulous people, finds its way back into the bank. That how is it that almost 80% of our currency is outside the bank? That means people have become the CBN, And so this particular redesign was really a process of making sure that monies are returned, and also asking Nigerians that if Nigerians or even non-Nigerians, anyone who's aware of anyone that has taken money out and has put it away, that they can tell EFCC about it, they will investigate it, and the whistleblower gets 5% at the end of the investigation. We're just saying that this is just a way for the country to sanitize its financial, ecosystem. And also, going forward, this is something he said that's supposed to have been done every 8 years, but it's been 20 years since we had anything like that. And hopefully we would see, things get better.
All right.
Yeah, so the Lagos State Police Command on Wednesday confirmed the arrest of 11 suspected cultists terrorizing the Agege area of the state. The Rapid Response Squad made a statement on Twitter, and they said the officers were on parole when the suspects were arrested in a hotel. And they also added that the investigation revealed that the suspects were members of rival cult groups involved in the clash in the area. I don't know if this is related to the viral video we saw of a clash in that area as well. So according to the statement, they said around 2:45 a.m., officers on patrol arrested members of rival cult gangs involved in a violent clash in a hotel in Agege. 4 of them were viciously injured with broken bottles during the fight. They have been transferred to Okoba Agege Police Division in line with the directive of the commander, CSP Olayinka Igbeyemi, and I'm sure those people will be prosecuted.
Looking forward to that. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the front page review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
So we continue front page review with the Punch. Nima, you have a story.
Yes, so the Ethiopian airline and federal government deal. So the Association of Local Airlines have, gone to court, and now they raised a new issue. They raised an issue that the federal government plans to bank guarantee Ethiopian airline and by extension this Nigerian airline. They're saying that this is completely unfair to them. These domestic airlines, did not stand a chance. They said they also sued and asked the courts for an injunction to stop any further action by the federal government on this. I hope it is the way to go. The details in this article continue to expose many things. And the federal government's only defense is that, when they put out the concessional bid, none of the local airlines applied, only Ethiopian airline applied. And so I think as a federal government, morally, it is on them to make it easier. If they could have done a bank guarantee for this project, they could have done something that, would encourage local airlines, to come on board rather than carry our business outside. But as they don't carry and go,
but
there's an injunction.
Is it not a way to still get the dollar that we're looking for?
Exactly.
No, we see, at this point, all this our foreign reliance to get dollar has not been productive. Because it empowers from outside. We should start to empower from within to earn the dollar, and that's the way to secure us.
So there's a Punch investigation about how difficult it is for families to access funds after the death of relatives, and I think it's something that probably we'll talk about maybe more next week in detail, but it is just so sad. So they portray the story of Kenechukwu Anthony, who lost his mother 2 years before retirement. It's a teacher in Anambra State, and since 2020 they have not been able to access the mom's savings account till now. They also mentioned that in between that the father got ill and the father died, and that if they had even been able to access the back and forth with the bank has led to a lot of delay. The bank, they've tried to, there's nothing substantial. They took them to court. The court is also dragging the process. We should make it easier for people that are bereaved to access the funds that will probably help them in the accounts of their lost one. And I think it is something we need to shed more light on. Moving on to Daily Sun. Major headline is Atiku outlines 5 focus areas as Tinubu meets scan. In other news, we've taken the story about ASU. Drama as PDP members sweep venue on APC presidential campaign flag off in Jos. That's really dramatic, actually. It's a funny story. Gunmen kill 9 family members in Plateau village. Government orders security to fish out perpetrators. UK channels $100 million to women-owned businesses in Nigeria. Oshun, Tribunal compels INEC to produce Adeleke's certificate. We're taking that story. We need united Nigeria, says Wike. I'll leave a safer country next year, says Buhari. Approves the 34 billion for military veterans. Tinubu, Umahi, APC governors unveil a Ebonyi Governors Lodge in Abuja. Southern Middle Belt Forum knocks Soludo over attack on Obi. Now, which of these stories are we starting with?
Let me start with the sad story that happened in Plateau State, actually a Katako community in Bokas local government area. No fewer than 9 members of a particular family have been reported dead. They said that gunmen had stormed that community at about 9:30 p.m. when residents were going to bed and were shooting sporadically. Properties were burnt down. Well, the security police is on it. The governor has asked that the assailants be tracked and arrested, and we hope, that this would, that the investigation would lead to their arrest. And the governor is also particularly saying that it's quite worrisome that this is not the first time. It's becoming more rampant in this community for government to have access and kill people and just get away with so many criminalities. So we hope that they find these people and then they are arrested and prosecuted and made a good example of.
So the British High Commission to Nigeria, Miss Catriona Lyne, yesterday said the United Kingdom government has launched a $100 million program through the First Bank of Nigeria as a direct funding to women-owned enterprises in Nigeria. So they had this ongoing Gender Inclusion Summit organized by the Policy Innovation Center, PIC, an initiative of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, NESG, in Abuja. And she said the investment is part of the implementation of the UK 3Es project, which is about educating girls, empowering women, and ending violence against women. And they have been carrying out this project for years now. They said they also have been, empowering education for decades now, particularly in the northeast Nigeria. They have supported about 1.4 million additional girls going to school. And these are some of the things that they're doing. And they said that one of the reasons we still have gender issues is because a lot of people are still hiding under social norms, religious norms, behavioral norms, and using them as excuses for not making progress on the issue of gender equality. But right now, they're trying as much as possible to digitize humanitarian services and cash so that women can have access to money easily to be able to empower themselves.
This drama happened at Plateau, on one side of the city, there's a sad story of people getting killed. On another side, it's a political show where supporters of PDP, mainly young people that reside in Jos, they went to where the APC did their flag-off campaign, Rangpam Stadium, and they were sweeping. They said they were sweeping out all that APC brought. That they are committed to sweeping APC out of power in the state. Yet we have a state where people are dying, and I understand that politics is still ongoing. But let us focus on, okay, why are we sweeping these people out? Let your drama also carry a lot of data, because these are young people, and we need to mobilize people with facts, you know, and not just emotion. But it was a really interesting one when I saw the fact that they went to sweep out APC, and that's their own way of showing their displeasure with the government's
But I was just
power.
wondering if it's counterproductive, since they're using the emblem of APC.
To sweep.
Are you sure you're not further saying
APC is on ground, you know, who knows?
let's be careful, spiritual implications?
Okay. All right, so there was another story. Okay, I think it's the same. I'll leave Nigeria safer was the same thing
Yes.
as the... Yeah. Let's move on to Vanguard, major headline. Bill for restructuring, resource control ready. That's from Atiku. Oh, that's a campaign strategy that he has already prepared the bill for resource control. Let's see how that goes. Mile 2, Apapa, talking of access tickets, compounds gridlock. I'm sure Nima has that story. Senate in rowdy session over Naira redesign. 2023, Igbo leaders tackle Soludo over comments on Peter Obi. Wike apologizes to Shemole. And Zix posthumous birthday. Nigeria's unity non-negotiable. That's from Ohaneze, Sultan, and Zulum, others. So what are we starting with?
Okay, so Apapa, of course, talking of access tickets. And you know, the e-call-up system has been flagged off in Apapa, but this truck transit park system is where you see people, you see touts hawking access tickets, and you know, people coming through that. So the Vanguard did an exclusive with the head of operations of the transit truck park, Irabo Akonoman, who said that they have on several occasions arrested these people who caught commercial truckers with access tickets issued to companies operating in the ports, and they've handed them over to the police, but they found out that they were released and that they continue to carry out these operations, you know, further compounding the difficult situation between the Mile 2 and Tinkan Port axis. On that axis, there's continuous traffic. And they said that, you know, it's even worse because most of these truckers do not have documents for their truck. They don't have identification numbers. They don't have plate numbers. It's difficult to even trace them and arrest them. And these activities continue to cause hardship on that axis. None of their tickets are counterfeited. They can only be resold to somebody who did not originally book it. So it shows that there's a tight, serious corruption within the system.
Wow.
And this is not the first time we're taking it. I'm taking it from a place of I don't tire safe, you know. So it's just the will. I think the government lacks the will to do the proper thing. Anybody caught doing that, selling those tickets, should first of all be arrested and traced to whoever sold or issued tickets to them. So
I'm taking the story of the Igbo leaders, not just Igbo elders, South, in other papers it showed South, Middle Belt, all attacking Soludo, or here tackling Soludo over his comments on Peter Obi. The Professor Suji says, I'm embarrassed by Soludo's hostility. Professor ABC Nwosu said, Soludo's tirades not ordinary. Something is behind them. And Eziefe said, I tried calling Soludo, but he's not answering. I'm scandalized. They have both have APGA background. So generally, it's a lot of elders within the South are a bit they are not happy with Soludo's comments, saying that there should be unity from the party end, and it generated a lot of conversation on social media. I don't even know where I start the issue, because I support that there must be unity within your community. If you want me to vote for you, at least your children must vote for you. Your brothers must be willing to vote for you. So if you're campaigning and your brother is saying, I'm not going to vote for you, then how would that convince other people outside to vote? So there are two sides to it, and we also don't want a campaign based on ethnicity that you must support your person because it's from your own region, you know.
Yeah,
so that's why I said...
also know that that doesn't really matter. I can choose to come out for election and Nima will say, I'm not voting for you. BC, you are still owing me one small money somewhere. It doesn't mean I'm not credible. It's just that...
Yeah, we have our differences.
Yeah.
So final paper that will be taken today, Nigerian Tribune, no going back on no work, no pay for lecturers. That's from federal government. Very sad story that we'll just quickly take. Drunk driver kills general while driving in Lagos barracks. I saw the story online.
Corporal in the Nigerian Army crushed to death the Nigerian Armed Forces Resettlement Center Director of Finance, Brigadier General A.O. James, with his car. Yeah, so according to the story, the elderly man was just walking to his apartment when this drunk corporal just drove and hit him from behind. And then he was rushed to the medical center. He was pronounced dead immediately. They found out that this guy, the corporal, was actually very drunk. So he's been taken into custody for investigation. And I think he should be severely punished. Why are you drinking in?
He's not severely punished. He killed someone.
We know the consequences.
It's so sad. Somebody jogging within his barrack.
He's not manslaughter.
He was drunk. He was
He was drunk.
It's not our hot topic. We'll take a
The
break.
consequence is there.
It's very dear. Really sad. I had both of
his
the
life
family of the
may
general.
have ended just as much as the person he killed.
That's all we can take. When we return, we have a sponsor segment from I Create Club. Stay with us. Be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're back today with another Vitaform I Create Club segment. And today is the winner of the jingle competition. I present Mofinyi. Please introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Mofin Ajani, and I'm 9 years old. I attend Career School Magodo, Lagos State, here in Nigeria, and I'm in 5th grade toppers. I'm here with the administrator of Career School, Mr. Igbo.
So I'd like you to tell us a bit about the competition that got you here.
The competition started as an individual task. We were asked to write some lyrics for Vitaform. When I heard I was the top in my school, I was happy, but I was even happier when my friends could join me.
Aww.
We visited the studio and waited for the big day.
Wow. Okay, so now let's listen to the jingle that earned Mofinyi first place in the jingle competition.
My Vitaform, your Vitaform, the fine art of living. My Vitaform, your Vitaform, what more could I ask for? I love my Vitaform, you love your Vitaform, it gives us lots of fun, ole ole. We love our Vitaform, it gives us comfort that we desire. My Vitaform, your Vitaform, you think they're only concerned about our standard of living? Well, there's more. It's the fine art of learning too. My Vitaform, your Vitaform, to us they bring lots of fun. I love my Vitaform!
Oh,
You're such a
really
singer.
nice. Yeah. Before
okay.
we talk about the lyrics, you know, let's talk about the prize money. Because we're told that you shared your prize money with your friends, your teachers that helped you during the studio recording.
Yes, I did. Because I didn't want to take my friends and teachers' efforts for granted. So I discussed with my parents and we agreed to share the prize money with them.
So let's talk about your lyrics. You had my Vitaform, my Vitaform, my Vitaform. And those words were quite powerful. How did you come up with that phrase?
When I was given the flyer for the jingle competition, I was excited. The theme was the other side of Vitaform. I made my research about Vitaform and I discovered that so many people use Vitaform. So that's what made me come up with my Vitaform, your Vitaform.
I love that. I mean, apart from having like a beautiful voice, I mean, the sound is catchy. But, you know, there's something you said in the lyrics. You also said that Vitaform is, you know, to be a fine art of living, but you said it's a fine art of learning as well. So why did you say it is?
That phrase wasn't easy to come up with, the fine art of learning. Even though my friend helped me, the theme was the other side of Vitaform. I Create, which is sponsored by Vitaform, had to do with it. Some of my past encounters with I Create are the book review, which had to do with literature, the pillow art, which had to do with art and craft, and also my lyrics, which is creative writing, putting it into a jingle, which is music.
Okay, so all together.
I discovered that Vitafoam is not just about beds and pillows, but also concerned about our learning too.
So you've already mentioned a few of your I Create activities, but which would you say has been your favorite of all the I Create activities?
The pillow art challenge.
The pillow art challenge.
Wow.
Oh.
So how has this winning impacted you?
It has improved my boldness, creative writing skills, and my music skills.
Amazing.
So to you, sir. Yes. Carrie School is one of the first schools which has worked with I Create Club right from inception. Over the years, how would you say the club has impacted on your school, and how has Vitafoam's involvement with the club impacted on the children, not just Mofin?
Thank you. The engagement of this Vitafoam and I Create Club with our kids have been quite in-depth. We noticed that over time when they come to the classrooms, they engage the children in the area of practical and also mentally. And this has really helped to bring out the best in our kids. And we noticed also that because they take this competition externally, they involve other schools, so it helps to build the confidence of the kids when they meet at the external level. It's a bigger game for them. So at that place, they showcase the talents they have. So it has really impacted so much on children involving in this competition.
You know, having her get all the way to the finals and winning, a lot of people watching will think, this school must be doing something right. So what would you say you're doing right, and in what way did you help her get to the finish line?
Okay. For us as Carrie School, we believe that the future, success and self-actualization of a child all depends on the child educational foundation. And more reason a child education should be total. Education should cut across not only academics, but also should affect the child's moral, philosophy, and ultimately the child's ultimate goals in life. So for us at Carrie School, if you recall very well, when she said she won the money, she shared with the people that were involved. So one of our greatest philosophy as a school is character building. Character speaks all about you. So if you're well built in the area of character, what it means is that you become of benefit to yourself, to your family, and the society at large. So that's what we stand for at Carrie School.
So Moi, we're told that you and your music teacher came up with a song for us. Are you ready to
sing it to us?
Okay.
Yes, please. Your view, our view, is a view that always change the world. Your view, our view, is the view that always change the world. Your view, our view, is the view that always change the world.
Whoa!
Please, could you sing with me?
Sure! Of course.
Your view, our view, the view that always changes the world. Your view, our view,
Go, girl.
is the view that always changes the world. Your view, our view,
Yes.
the view that always changes the world.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to rap to that.
So what's your final words for I Create Club and Vitafoam?
Thank you, I Create and Vitafoam, for sponsoring this competition, for me to be able to express myself.
So remember that the Vitafoam memory pillows are still going out. For a chance at winning, visit Club's Instagram page. That's at I Create Club NG. All right? That's how we can take on this segment. Thank you, Mofonyi, for coming. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you. And we can't wait to see what you get to do.
I wanted to say something. She has a little piece to do on, is it possible we grant that?
Oh, we're totally out of time, you know, but thank you so much for coming. It was really nice having you, Mofin. And we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we go into other topics for the day. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Open House Thursday is always a gisting time. So we saw something that trended on Twitter. A lady came out to say her friend, who was about to get married, found out she was pregnant and she was considering abortion because she's married to a youth leader. She was about to get married to a youth leader. And while it was just a month to the pregnancy, the advice was at first, you could try and hide the pregnancy into the wedding. But they said the church does pregnancy test a few days to the wedding, just to be sure you are not pregnant. So it seemed like the only option for this young lady to do is to carry out abortion. And here we are discussing, we've heard these stories before. I've heard it before. I've heard people say that they did abortion just because they wanted to get married. I've heard other kinds of stories. And the conversation is it right? Should we commit a sin to hide a sin? And to what length are we going to go to look right, in the face of others? And I'd like to start with you, Mariam.
Oh, interesting. Thank you. So I think this is a conversation that's been going on for a bit this week, and I've heard many views. But my view is, most churches have doctrines and it's clearly stated. So if you participate, if you're part of a church, you know what their doctrine says about being married and not being pregnant or being pregnant. So you know exactly what is expected of you. And I guess also as a youth leader, you're part of, how the church runs. So you, more than anyone else, you know exactly what is expected. And it's important that we understand why the church made this compulsory. So first of all, I'm like, okay, if it's just if it's just like a month, she'll be able to have the wedding without it being noticeable. But then I guess why the church would insist on doing a test a few days to the wedding will be that there may be cases where people have gotten away with being pregnant and getting married. Meanwhile, those who their own show are the ones punished. So because I don't see yours, you're not going to be not punished, but that does not affect you. But someone else, but all of you have committed the same sin, but one person's one is showing and the other one is not showing. So I guess for that, it's just to keep it fair, to say, okay, we'll do it to a few days before the actual event so that not a particular person doesn't get unfair, like an unfair advantage. Now, if you know that you've done something, everything we do has a consequence. It has repercussions. Just be willing, just be ready to accept the consequence of your action and the repercussions for it, which is, I will not be able to do this wedding in church. I know what I've done wrong, and so I will do it outside church. And I hear some of these marriages, you may not do in church, but they'll come and bless it for you. You can come, if it's a Saturday wedding on a Sunday, you come and bless it for you. Because in the end, it's not about ticking the box of, we appeared here and we did it here. It's a lot more than those appearances. It's about the marriage itself. And so if that is important to you, if you understand the importance of that, you will not be thinking of, doing an abortion to save face. And if you are not comfortable with the church saying that you should not be pregnant until you are married, then don't be part of that church.
Exactly.
Because culturally, we have some cultures where they insist that you be pregnant before you get married, and people, will come and celebrate. In fact, some cultures, if you are not pregnant before the marriage, it may be a problem. So you can decide to do that. But if you're going to be part of the church, then do as the church says. But it will be foolish to now take out the child just because you want to save face.
I completely agree with Miriam. I think the members of the church here are to blame, not the institution of that church. They are subscribers to that institution. They were groomed there. The man himself, or the fiancé himself, is a youth pastor, youth leader, someone who says one thing, lives by another standard, so double standards. And then sex, obviously, is something that the church frowns upon. before marriage, but then both of them had it and now they're considering abortion. So they are the ones at fault here. People always live by these standards that, they create, and then they come out with do not judge kind of excuses. You are the one who went to that church, you subscribe to that church, you must live by what you believe. You must live by what you believe. That institution is an institution and is allowed to have its laws and rules that guides the subscribers or the followers. And, for whatever reason the institution believes in, if you've been found, guilty of violating any of these rules of that institution, you live with the consequence of it. So now that you are pregnant outside the wedlock, be let me not use magnanimous.
Find another word.
Be, courageous and honest enough to admit it publicly and step out of the system. Go to a registry, don't kill your child, get married, but step out of the system and unsubscribe to it.
No, but
and do things
we're
outside
painting
of
this
it.
like, this is like an easy thing to do. It's not.
What's uneasy about it? It's even the sex said that was easy to abstain from, but you did not do that.
No. You have already, they've planned this wedding. We've gotten venue. Everybody has picked Ashwebi. There's a lot that has been put into it, Families, everybody involved, everybody working towards this occasion, and then you suddenly find out you might even have been faithful all through, and just one night of, we're almost there, let me just hug you a little more. And then I hug you a little more, and one thing led to another, and the next thing, we have belle. And the way it used to happen in church that time, they be like good girls, they just have to do once. Just one scene like this. Man, some people are prostituting forever and ever, nothing will happen to them, but one good girl just does it once, and there are a lot at stake that you just feel like I don't want to bring shame to my family. BC.
So if this was done as a mistake, if this was a mistake that was done, you would know by the remorse they would show and by the way they would accept to take the consequences. When we are not perfect, people will fall. When you fall and you're remorseful about the fall, you will take the consequences with your full chest. You will be the one asking for the penance because you know that, God, this isn't me. I fail. I'm ready for the consequences. You will see it. You will not sit down and be plotting abortion. So that showed me that it has been happening. They were just caught in the cross lines. But this also points to the hypocrisy of what we have when it comes to religion. A lot of people preach something different and do something different. And when they are caught in the cross lines like this, they start looking for an easy way out. And I had someone close back in the day who was caught exactly, when I saw the situation, I was like, yeah, I remember this person, exactly like this. And unfortunately, she did the abortion so that she could wed in church. I'm sorry to say, it doesn't mean that people who do abortions don't give birth to babies. But till today, she doesn't have a child. I'm not even joking.
Somebody mentioned something similar.
It could have been that was the only child she was meant to have. But because she didn't want to, she wanted the safe face. She didn't want to just take the consequence. I've fallen, I'm sorry. Okay, since people are not going to wed me in church again, let me do the court or do the traditional and just move on with my life. And maybe after a while, people will accept me back into the fold. So the punishment the church or the religious bodies give is not to ostracize you for the rest of your life. They keep you on a bench. When you fall as a priest, you are kept on a bench to observe. You are suspended, but you are meant to come to church. I remember when we were in the university back in the day, if you do something and then they have to suspend you, as a choir member, you will be coming for rehearsals. You will come on Sunday very early, but you will not robe. You will come and do the practices, do the prayer, do everything, but you will not robe because you are benched, because you have committed something. You will wait out that time. So this is not like a life sentence. They can bring you down from your position and all that till you learn the lesson. And then you will gradually grow in grace and get back to your position. It doesn't mean that if you don't wed in church, your children will not be blessed or that the marriage will not be blessed or anything will happen. So I think people need to start living by the consequences of their actions. So every day we are placed with a decision. You have to make decisions every day to live by what happens at the end of the day. And when it happens, use your chest to collect it because you were knocking behind. You know the rules. You went back to knock. It can't hook you now with belly. You won't come out.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take your calls and your tweets, your opinion on this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing about a lady who got pregnant and is considering abortion to cover her shame. Before we continue, let me invite you to call us on the show. Call us on 081-270-53687, or you can call us on 091-390-76948. Tweet to us and hashtag YourViewTVC so we can take your tweets. And, you know, while we're discussing, we discussed extensively a bit on the break. The conversation was around the fact that, you know, when you lie once, you're likely going to lie again to cover up the first lie. You're trying to cover up the shame, and that's what they were about to do. You fornicated, and then you want to commit abortion to cover up the evidence of your fornication. You steal money, then you will lie to cover up the fact that you stole money. And we are not willing to take consequences. I had a conversation with my in-law. She's a man married to my cousin, and he said that when I raise children, I'm not raising my children with the intention of disciplining them. I let them understand there are consequences for every action. If you don't read your book, the consequence is your parents are also happy with you, and you will be, a lot of your things that you like will be taken away from you. You probably won't pass in school. If you eat a lot, the consequence is you might have tummy ache because you have overeaten. So we make that they teach the children to understand consequences for action. And if you've taken out this action, you must be willing to bear the consequences, good or bad. Are we dodging consequences? Are we?
And for me, I like that this story is a way to reinforce that teaching, where, because now, you know, with the way things are, we just have so many opinions, so many different kinds of values. We've thrown many things away because as long as you can argue your way out of anything, you know, for that time you're trending, you're doing well. But the truth is, because we have refused to be accountable for a lot of the wrong things that we have done, and instead found even more dubious ways to cover up for the things, not only in this situation of marriage, in so many other things, and we find ourselves just keep, you know, digging a hole for ourselves and going deeper and deeper. And it is because many of us have refused to accept accountability. We have refused to just realize I've made a mistake and I'm willing to go through whatever punishment I need to go through, face the consequences of what I've gone through, what I have done. Instead, I would look for another lie to cover up the one before. We have to remind ourselves. We expect it of our children. We don't expect it of ourselves. We think we're so smart. But the truth is, if you don't face that consequence today, it would show up in, you know, in future for something even bigger, and you would have to face the consequence then. So it's important that when you do something and you have been called out or you realize it yourself, face the consequences, serve the time, and renew yourself and move on. There's a lesson to be learned. So we only see the shame of being caught. We don't realize that there's also like a character that is built from even doing that. There's a lot of positive that comes from learning humility, from learning even that, you know, I'm disappointed in myself and then wanting to do better. You will do better once you are able to face the consequences of your action. But if any time you're able to get away from one thing, you just think, I'm so smart, I'll keep doing this until one day you're caught and there's no excuse or any dubious means left for you.
It's so true. So some people are some people feel like the church is being too harsh. You know, there's a part in the Bible that says, he who has no sin should cast the first stone. You said they do your own. So because they catch me and you're now making it look like I'm the worst sinner in the world, when in actual fact, everybody has areas where we are going to meet God to forgive us. Nima, would you say that our religious leaders are being hypocritical? Why would you be testing somebody a few days to the wedding? You want to, it's a setup. You know, or what are you trying to achieve? I don't know how he plays out in Islam, but I know that a lot of churches do these things just so that they can catch you on the day.
It's a caning offense in Islam, but we don't do Sharia anymore.
It's a caning offense?
It's a caning offense to fornicate. So we don't do it. And it's a sin against God. It's a sin that, you know, God says is between you and myself. And for growing up, for those who know how to teach religion to their children, you establish a relationship between that child and God. The child can go into covenant with God and know how to abstain for the purpose of worshiping and keeping that relationship directly with God. That was the way I was raised. But here now, like I said earlier, that institution can put down rules, guides, anything that they want to form the person.
I'm saying that should our religious leaders be more open?
They should be. They should be more open. So that does not take away the consequence of what a person has done. They can listen to you, you have goofed, you have done something wrong, you've fallen short or whatever, but you yourself, what shows maturity is that in accepting what you have done, what we are seeing here is somebody trying to cover face, saying, oh, let me just take that abortion, dance on my wedding day as if everything is right. Continue to set the high standard of infallibility before other people, and then you cross and marry, and then you can be dealing with whatever you have done privately. So other members of church who will see you, who have always looked up to you, will be like, until I can do this. But if somebody knows that we are all humans, we are fallible, and, you know, I can do wrong, but this is the consequence of it, and live by that consequence. We're all training people that humans will do something wrong, face the consequence. That's the right chain to go, not to continue to set high standards that, you know, you cannot conform with.
Yeah, because you have...
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, even when you steal and you are caught by the law and you go to God and you know, apologize, repent, you will still be sent to prison, even though God has forgiven you. Even if the state decides to forgive you, you will still face out your consequences. And so that is what gives balance, or else we will all become like animals, where you can do things without consequence. You do things without the thoughts that if I am caught, this is what is going to fall out of this. This is how I'm going to act in respect. This is how I'm going to be brought down or taken up in respect of what I've done. So it sort of balances the equilibrium, and everybody needs to accept that. Psychologists also have found that being guilty and feeling shame is counterproductive. They have tested several people over the years, and they realize that when something happens and you feel guilty, you are likely to go back to that same thing again. Because the guilt, after that guilt feeling comes and goes, you are back to the same cycle, because you have felt the guilt, Abby, you are brought down, Abby, you have felt it by yourself, and that's it. You are bound to repeat that cycle or do something even worse. So they ask that you try as much as possible to accept the consequences of what you have done. You must be remorse. And in showing remorse, whatever comes out of it, you're not going to appeal it. You're going to say, okay, is this my punishment? I will serve out that punishment. And that is how you know that you're not likely going back, except, of course, you enjoy the punishment. You enjoy serving out the punishment. You enjoy falling from grace all the time. But normal people don't enjoy that. And so when you serve out that punishment, it shows that you were really not intentional about what you just did.
Let me quickly take this call from Sarah, called on from Egbeda. Welcome to the show, Sarah. Good morning.
Good morning, Topper. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This topic is quite a very interesting topic, and it's unfortunate, is our reality of today. So many of our young people are involved in, they are sexually active. Some even have multiple, but like Lima said, it's not the way to go. But the thing is, I'm a counselor in my church, and we do this. But one thing I noticed among other people is you hear, you must not be pregnant, you must not be pregnant, you must not be pregnant. So in other words, are you saying they can go ahead and have sex but not get pregnant because they want to do the wedding in the church? But I always tell people, don't get pregnant shouldn't be the message. The message should go down that you as a Christian child should not be indulging in sexual activities. That's where we are getting it wrong. May God help us as parents to bring up our children the right way, because as parents, you may not be able to control this, but I think with talking here and there, letting them understand the reason why they should abstain.
Okay, so don't get caught. So what Sarah is saying is that what they're preaching is don't get caught, not don't commit the sin. So, and we need to start promoting don't commit the sin as opposed to not getting caught. We have several thoughts. You want to say something?
Yes, about the keep pushing the not committing the sin. The only way that a human person can know for sure that if you are committing the sin is if it ends up in pregnancy. And I get what she's saying is, but that message is out there every day. Even as a person, if you go to church, you hear it every day. So it's not like there's a like there's a scarcity in that word. There's a scarcity in that message. It is out there. We constantly say it, you know, but people are going ahead to involve themselves in sex. So for me, I'm thinking that this conversation now, maybe the hypocrisy we're talking about now, is not even about churches alone or being pregnant, is now that we know that a lot of Nigerian, I know it's all over the world, but that a lot of Nigerian youths are engaged in premarital sex. Should that be a reason why you are not allowed to get married or get married? Should our messaging be different now that there are lots of people doing this? Are we going to start teaching them, okay, let's not talk to them about abstinence. Let's make sure that we talk to them about, even though you're, protection as Christians. Do you understand what I mean? I just feel that the church is in such a tough spot right now, where you can see the world around you. You can even see the children in the flock doing the things that worldly people are doing. So what do you tell them? How do you really push that message? And how are you making sure that in the end, all I'm trying to say, in the end, it's a personal thing, but as a system, as a church system, the only way that they can be sure of what you're doing or not is if there's a pregnancy that comes from it.
You've asked really loaded questions, but we'll take Richard, who's called from Enugu. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Yeah, good morning, lady.
Good morning.
Very interesting topic here. So, I'm a Catholic, right?
Yeah.
And in the Catholic Church, we are pro-life. It is more of come as you are, right?
Yes.
So, this pregnancy test and all that, it's because maybe there's a way to test it. That is the reason why they are emphasizing on it. But is pregnancy before marriage the only thing that should be considered? How do you test if the person is a drug dealer? How do you test if he's an armed robber? How do you test for other things?
My chest.
So in the Catholic Church, there's even a standing policy of if you are married but not wedded, the church is ready to even sponsor your wedding. They do mass wedding for all of you. So there was a very interesting one. Even the son is the best man, and the little children are the other smaller children are the bridesmaids, little brides and all that. So the Catholic Church is more of come as you are. There's a confession and there's a penance for that. So the less we emphasize on just pregnancy alone, I think we will begin to have a different perspective.
So true. That's another perspective. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I think that this conversation is not ending. We'll continue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We have a caller. Jennifer called from Ireland and she's been holding on. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Jennifer.
Thanks, Doctor. How are you? Good morning, ladies.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing up this very important topic. And this is just a reflection of the fact that most churches are not really getting it right, you know. And the focus in most churches is just speaking about don't get caught, be a virgin. But they forget that most young people are just technical virgins. Some of them are not having sex, but they are doing some other things that could lead to sex. So I think it's a wake-up call for churches to strategize, you know, and start, you know, teaching the young ones on the emphasis should be on sexual purity. If the emphasis is on sexual purity, we would not find ourselves in this kind of situation where, you know, somebody is trying to, show himself or herself as the righteous one, you know, by coming to abortion and then just to cover up. So it's a wake-up call for the churches to begin to, you know, strategize on how to send out this message to young ones, focusing on sexual purity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that the first responsibility of the church is to spread the good news, which is preach about salvation, accept Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior. And somehow, because it became an institution where people would gather with their families, they had to, you know, find rules and regulations that would guide each denomination according to the overseer sees fit. You know, sometimes we want to take a whole lot of other responsibilities and put it on the church. The parents have a role to play in raising their kids. The adults that have been raised to a certain level have a role to play in raising themselves. So if you're in any organization and you fall short of the rules of that organization, it is expected that something will be done to sort of, maybe punish you for what you have done. And that is regular with any institution. And we should not water it down because a lot of people are now committing that particular sin just to, find a way to get more people. However, what I see is when this sort of thing happens, every other member sort of isolates you. You are gossiped behind. You are, please, this one that went to go and get belle, don't relate with this, don't relate with that. The church is where anybody can come as they are, though they are not expected to live the way they came. But the church should be more, in terms of how the members will now handle this person who has fallen from grace, they should be more forgiving, show more compassion. That will help the person to go through the penance period and come out of it, knowing that the love of Christ still remains. So that's what we should preach more. Parents should train their children not to do. Adults, you safe. Train yourself not to do. If you choose to do, train yourself to receive the consequence. If you don't want to receive the consequence, please carry your bag and go to traditional people. They are not going to beg you, and they are not going to stop you from wedding with belle. They will wed you with big belle, and that's okay. You still raise your children. The focus should be on becoming a better human being every day as we progress.
Let me take a quick call from Binkwe. Binkwe has called in from Idris Shaga. Welcome to the show, Binkwe.
Good morning, everyone. I enjoy your program and I've been on with you for a long time. For today, please let us be fair with ourselves and let us be fair with the society. Because we say some things does not matter, that is why we find ourselves in where we are today. If I belong to a group and my group says this is our standard, it's either I abide by the standard or move away from the group. That's number one. Number two is, now even if you have committed the sin, you should be bold enough to face the consequences. If you are not facing the consequences, it's not the fault of the church. It's not the fault of the management of the church. The church also gives room for you, even when you commit such. There's always an opportunity for you to meet with your pastors for counseling, for direction. It is because you don't want to be shamed. That is why you have just hidden yourself somewhere and you are now saying you want to go and do the abortion. It's not the church that asked them to go and do abortion. It's because they don't want to face the shame. And if you don't want to face the shame, then don't go into the crime, don't go into the sin. In the past, if before marriage, if you go to your new husband's house in the old and you are not a virgin, we all know the consequences for our families. And the tradition was kept until a later time when we felt it's too difficult, it's too tough. We are going that.
Go ahead.
So I said that I wanted to say I liked that, we were on a page that established things that I thought, I believe is right. Because recently I started seeing some woke religious leaders coming to say you have to test what you want to buy. It's black market, it's all of those things. And I've been wondering,
black bread market.
Yeah, it's black market. So you need to test it because sexual compatibility is the most important part of marriage. You think sexual compatibility is a test that you do with blood sample and all of that in the lab and tick. They didn't make it seem like sexual compatibility is something that over time you can gain and over time you can even lose, depending on how hormones and experiences childbirth and all of those changes that happen to the body. And sometimes for even men, some things happen and they just don't have that libido. And sexual compatibility can come and go. It's something that you work at. Unlike the way they make it seem like you have to test it. So it's okay. One person was saying that you have to, in fact, no. I can't even say some of these things on there. It's so annoying. What I
wanted to use, there's a particular example people normally use when they're saying, oh, don't judge us, which is the woman who committed adultery in the Bible. And everyone, she was about to be stoned. And Jesus was like, he who is without sin. And many people use that as an example, like, well, even Jesus let her go, And for me, I feel that message is not really about saying she was okay for committing adultery. He was talking about one, I think, first of all, that this was a sin that was committed by not just one person. So the unfairness of it, of singling out one person. And secondly, was also about the shame. So BC mentioned things about when you commit a sin in church, instead of being, you know, sort of embraced and supported by the fold, you're ostracized. So he was talking about shame that, for me, I feel it has to do with, there has to be a different way to help someone who has fallen off. There has to be a kinder way. There has to be a much more compassionate way of doing that. So that is not an example of judgment. It's just an example of, now that the person is about to face their consequence, how would you rather do it so that the person learns from it?
True. And I think that we've had a very robust conversation around this. All of us agree that abortion is not the right way to go. If you've committed something, if you've gone against the rules of where you are, be humble enough to go through the punishments, take the consequences, and that humility, you've gained strength, and your strength of character not to go back into that same space again. You are confident to talk and address the situation. I think that many times we feel like the shame will stay with us forever, but life moves on. One of my pastor friends in my church, youth pastor, had a child 6-7 months after marriage, and he served punishment 1 year sitting at the back of the church, and he was brought back to the front of the church. And I think people must be willing to live with the consequences. So yes, the advice for the bride-to-be who got pregnant is, don't abort your pregnancy. The baby is not a shame. The baby is not a negative consequence. You will live with that consequences for a while, and you'll be better off for it. And I think we'll round off on this topic. When we come back, something very juicy. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. The story is about to get even juicier. So there's a particular evangelist Ikuku. He went on social media and said, I was sexually attracted to my wife, but our marriage has lost every sexual attraction. Now I find it hard to even come close to my wife. Initially, I thought it was an infection, and then until I flirted with another woman.
Pastor.
And, you know, things were happening there. He now said that I didn't know my wife until after marriage. That is, they waited until marriage. I knew I was sexually attracted to her, but as I'm talking to you now, every atom of sexual attraction has gone. Sometimes I question if it is spiritual.
Aww.
Maybe I have maybe he has a spiritual wife. I don't know what else to think. Next year, the marriage will be 5 years. It's quite early, and this troubles him. So we are going to advise Evangelist Ikuku today on what to do, or we are going to evaluate his situation and see if we can help him. Please join the conversation by calling us on 081-270-53687, or you can call us on 091-390-76948. Tweet to us, #YourVTVC. And we're going to be on YouTube reading your messages as well. What should Evangelist Ikuku do? Ikuku.
I don't know if it's Igbo. Ikuku sounds like breeze.
Yes.
That's the meaning in Igbo. I don't know if it's
okay.
However, Evangelist Ikuku, like you, had this problem. And he did not deem it fit to have a conversation with his wife. Evangelist Ikuku, I put it to you that you're not ready for marriage.
You see?
That's one. Secondly, Evangelist Ikuku, the foundation of this your marriage is a bit faulty. You don't marry because this person, you don't marry for the sole reason of excitement, sexual excitement. There are other things there are other characters and attributes that you see that you can say, I will marry this person. There's something I always told myself. I said, I will marry somebody who is a friend, who I can live with, even if those feelings of love disappear. Can I live with this person? That's the question. Can I live with this person as a friend? Even if the feelings of love and attraction goes, am I compatible enough to stay with this person as a neighbor, as a friend in the house? Because I have realized that, you see those feelings, those chemical reactions that you call sexual is actually chemical. It goes on and off. They disappear. There are days you will stay in your house, you don't want anybody to touch you. It doesn't mean you have fallen out of love. It just means that your body is reacting differently. And if you're matured in marriage, it's something that you will sit down and have a conversation. Where have I gone wrong? For women, it has to do with the mind. I've seen women who will be psyching themselves. A lot of women have this reality that they are no longer sexually attracted to their husband, but they're in the house. And they'll be psyching themselves over and over. I want to do this today. I want to do this tomorrow. I want to satisfy. It's work in progress. Sometimes you are all over each other. Other times, everybody's on their own. Don't even touch me. I don't want you near me. That is the journey of marriage. So evangelist Ikuku is not ready for this thing called marriage. And he was asking unbelievers and social media advisors. A pastor that should be giving us spiritual advice is not asking us if he has spiritual wife.
Okay.
I don't know how to help you.
I am not on BC side.
Okay, that's fine.
Evangelist Ikuku, I want to appreciate you for bringing such a vulnerable topic to fore, because it's a conversation that people are going through in their homes and in secret. Evangelist Ikuku, I'm happy that you're humble enough, in spite of the position as a pastor, where people expect that you know all and you're the beginning and the end, that you're willing to show something, you're willing to share with people something that you're struggling with and you do not know. The only part me and BC agree is, I hope he had this conversation with his wife. And I hope that this is a conversation that he has brought up, because after having this conversation with my wife, we have decided, let's put this out in the public. Maybe someone can help us. The truth is feelings come and go. He's not saying I don't love my wife. He's talking specifically of sexual attraction.
Yep.
And if you've been married long enough, and if you have heard of those who have been married 20-something, you know, you would hear, I mean, you used to hear all sorts of stories. And there used to be a time that men had so many wives. So if this was not being attractive, he would spend more time with another one. So, which goes to show where he said, when he flirted with someone else, he found that it's not like this thing is dead within me. It's just that she is the person I'm unable to attract with. To tell you the truth, personally, I have no specific solution for that, other than in this period, keep yourself safe from temptation while you work at it. Be friends again, you know, try and be friends. Sometimes, you know, people say the first 5 years of marriage can be the toughest when you're struggling with this, getting to know each other. It's no honeymoon phase is over. So all those things can play a part in the sexual chemistry, you know, the chemistry that is waning during this period. So if he understands that and he's willing to work with her, let's not make it about the core of it. Like, can I hold your hand for practice holding hands, practice sitting down together, practice going out for a walk, practice having dates and things like that. Eventually, I believe, like everybody, you would see that it comes back. It's not I do not believe it's a spiritual matter, but if it is a spiritual matter, Pastor Ikuku, you have the best tool for that. You will pray hard, you will fast, and it will work. So that's my own.
Honestly, I have to listen to Nima's perspective.
I'm just wondering, sir, that if Pastor Kuku thought he was the only one who could fall out of sexual need of his wife. If it was the woman the other way around, and then she had a male friend she was confiding the matter in, and they will come and enter the third party in their friendship, and then she falls by the wayside and flirts with the man, would it be understandable if she had a spiritual husband? You know, because these things happen both ways. I have gone a month, so my husband likes PDAs, and I'm not a PDA person.
Please, what is PDA?
Whatever it is.
No, explain to me what it is now.
Public display of affection.
Okay, thank you.
As we are walking on the street, we are holding hands.
I am not that kind of person, and my husband will wake me in the morning with a hug, with a kiss, and all of that. And sometimes when I'm fighting, I will turn my back as if I do not like it. I'm sharing it because Miriam calls it a vulnerable topic, and people would wonder how other people deal with it. And I did it to a point when he lost interest in doing it since she doesn't like it. And I missed it because 1 month straight, nothing happened in our house. Because I am a committed person to marriage, I woke up from my slumber one day and Auntie, wake up. There's a pause in this relationship. What is happening? I evaluated on my own without a conversation and found the fault at my doorstep that I am the one who have killed every form of affection in the marriage. And I revisited the issue. I made a phone call and I toasted my husband. And I promised him, come home this night. It's a special day.
Again.
I put in the effort, took the day off, made the meals, and created the ambience and the conversation. I'm saying it on this show because it is a vulnerable topic.
For Nima.
So you have the conversation. No, you see, marriage is for serious-minded people.
Yes.
It's not for the people who give up by the wayside and flirt on the wayside. My father used to say that it's not at the time when your marriage is in a troubled point that you have a male friend that you confide in. It is not at that point, because that is the devil is in your third party, the third party in that relationship.
Yep.
So when you see that those things happen, you look within and ask yourself what is happening. And I looked at this person who has put in effort all the time, will come back home with gifts, and I'll just turn my eye because I want to make a point, and I drag this point 1 month. This point you are dragging, is it the point to paradise? Is it the way to heaven? What exactly are you dragging? And I dropped it. I had the conversation. I toasted my husband. It's my husband. The one that I've already paid the dowry on top of the head.
I love that.
I can toast him anyhow. And you put in that effort. That's what I expect of Pastor Ikuku. You know, he could put in that effort, visit the woman, and this is the woman you were toasting before. You can do it again. You can surprise her with gifts at the door. You can check whatever it is that she loves, that she has been doing for you, and repay the kindness. You know, things that, you know... And, you can't do this thing. This is not.
I love you for sharing. Like I love you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Kelechi has called from Port Harcourt. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm a first caller.
Welcome to the show.
This happens to be my in-law.
Hey. All right.
I've been calling. I want to contribute to the first topic. I'm an event planner. I had a recent issue. A couple, they wanted to wear. So in their recent church, the wife is pregnant, so the pastor asked them to wear before the pregnancy will show. But unfortunately, they are planning the wedding to be ending of this year. So definitely before then, the pregnancy is going to show. Now, instead of the pastor to tell them, okay, I won't wed you, what he told them was, I will not be around to wed you people. So being an event planner, I have to check everything. I told them, why don't you fall back to your Orthodox church? There they can accept you the way you are. Because obviously they can't wed you by the festive period because the pregnancy will be very obvious then. And that was what happened. So I think the Pentecostal church, they should find a way around this. If we say our God is a merciful God, why don't we, as human beings, also be like God? Yes, we should wed them. Then after wedding them, there should be a punishment.
Yeah.
They can serve their penance after wedding them. Other than making them not to wed.
Thank you so much, Kelechi. That's a very, another perspective. I think somebody has mentioned it during the course of the show. I love the play of conversation in advising this man. And I love the fact that we also many people are not aware that a lot of women actually go through this as well, where they are in a marriage and for some period, they just do not find their partner sexually attractive. That is not even in their head, based on everything going on in their head at the time. But marriage is about commitment, you know? So it's not about how I'm feeling. It's about the fact that I am a woman, I'm a man of my word, and I am committed to making this relationship work. And when it takes time, we'll put in the time. When it is rosy, we'll enjoy the rosiness. When it is requiring more from us to invest, we will invest it as well. It is wrong for everybody to just assume that everything will just be straight, smooth, and joyful all the way.
So there's a part of the scripture that says, take heed, ye that thinketh he stands, lest he falls. He had to, first of all, flirt with somebody to realize that his body was functioning well. That was putting himself in a very precarious situation. Anything could have happened. He could have
from BC today.
Anything could have happened. He could have fallen, and then he would come back with that excuse. You know, I tried and I fell. And the fact that he brought it out, I don't know, because he brought it out with his full name spelled out there. I just hope that the wife at home did not see the problem they're having on social media. I hope it's something that he had talked to her about and they started finding their ways. And now this is the time to find a professional. There is no advice you will get on social media. People are not happy there. They just want somebody to entertain them. You are just giving us a topic to talk about, which is okay for people who will now take this opportunity to learn. However, are you making any moves to speak to sex coaches and sex therapists that would help you revive that feeling? And also ask yourself, the things that attracted me to this woman, does she still have it? Because sometimes there are specific things, specific ways she was probably dressing or doing or something that really attracted you. And over time, it loses in the course of we're having children, we're paying bills and all that. Have you discussed with her that I used to like these small things you used to do? That short skirt you used to wear, can you wear it again for me? Did you have this conversation? And please, if you had this conversation, it will take a process for you to get back to that place. There's this thing they say that the best sexual organ is the mind. So you need to work on your mind and tell yourself that when I see my wife, my body will do me jiggy jiggy. And over time, it will start reflecting. Jiggy. Exactly.
We'll take a few messages. We're almost completely out of time. Okay. I know we have loads of messages, so let's see the ones relevant to this particular topic before we run off.
Chigoze says, people should learn to reason well and live their lives without religious biases. How do a couple want to get married, think of terminating a pregnancy and look like saints to the church? How do you fear church and not fear God? He says, Tiribosa for Nima. He likes my story.
Ade Noble says, marriage is about give and take. Learn how to give and receive love. Ojoba says, Sharafadin says, marriage is an act of worship. Sex is an ingredient of marriage. If you lack attraction and your spouse is in the mood, then put effort towards regaining that attraction.
Andrew in Streatham says, tell evangelist Ikuku needs to read the book in the Bible called Songs of Solomon. There are lots of verses to stretch a couple's imagination. I love that.
Oh God, my son was with this Solomon and I was scared.
Who showed him that passage?
No, I read it at that age too. Songs of Solomon, Revelations. As a child, that's where I spent my time. I read.
Good, interesting.
Onome says, I commented the first day I saw this evangelist issue is that Ashawo Dei I. That's where I stand. It's all normal until the woman is saying she's no longer feeling the man.
So the other way around.
They will castigate her.
And with that, we've come to the end of the show. Pick the one that works for you.
Yes,
A lot has come out of the show today, and I'm sure I know it is a lot of value. So find the one that works for you. Put in the effort. Don't be so scared of human beings. You will sin to God, and don't be so lazy to work on your marriage because everything requires work. That's all we can take. See you all tomorrow. Bye.